welcome to another Garage Time with Goody. And today, guys, what we're going to do, we are going to change the rotors and the brakes in a 2013 Dodge Journey. Let's get to it. Okay, so what a rotor does, it goes up against the brake. The brake pads are going to go up against the rotor, and if you have bad rotors, it could be warped, it could be a number of things. If it's warped, it's going to wear those brake pads out prematurely, and it could make your vehicle shimmy a little bit. Yeah, that's the best word I got for it. Shake or shimmy. So wobble, there's another word. So let's get to fixing this. All right, the first thing you want to do, guys, is you want to loosen these lug nuts before you jack up the vehicle. And for the first time, and thanks to you all, thanks to all my good people and the good fam, I have bought new tools. Finally have an impact gun, and I'm just going to do it the lazy way. Thank you. Much easier. Let's see if I can get the lug nut out. Much easier. So the job isn't really hard, guys, as long as you got the tools and the determination. As my grandpa once said, work smarter, not harder. Okay, the next step, guys, once you get the lug nuts off, you're going to want to jack the car up to where the tire is off the ground. Okay, now as you can see, guys, the tire's off the ground, and you just take the tire off of the vehicle and lay it to the side. And now I have access to the rotor and the brakes. Okay, now the next step is to put a jack stand underneath the car, and that's going to be for safety. Okay, that is under there for safety. In case this falls, you'll still be alive. You'll thank me later. Okay, so guys, once the tire is off, the next step is this. This is the rotor right here, and you can feel on the rotor. Make sure that the car has been turned off for a while. If not, you will severely burn yourself on the rotor. This has been off for a while, so this is not hot. You can feel on here that there's pits, and it's not very smooth around the rotor. And this is a telltale sign that the rotor is warped and that it's no good. And it's also going to not stop the car properly. It could make noises or shimmy and shake or wobble. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is to take the brake, the whole caliper off, so that I can pull this rotor off of here. And then I will be putting the replacement rotor on. Okay, to take the brake caliper off, we're going to take this part of the brake caliper off first. And you're going to need a 13 millimeter. And I'm going to put it on this impact gun here. Make sure you don't lose these. And then there's another bolt down here. It's also 13. Now in some cars you may need a pry bar, but this should just pull off like this. And be careful, because this is your hydraulics line that holds the brake fluid. You do not want that to break. You can see on the 2013 Dodge Journey, this is the version that has the dual brake pistons. I'm gonna go ahead and take the old brake shoes off. Looks like it has a lot of meat left on those bones, huh? Yeah, these brake pads, taking these brake pads off, looks like there's a lot of meat left on them, which means it looks like there's a lot of brake shoes still left. And then from the back, comes off the same way. You can see how it has pits in the brakes. That's where the rotors are not smooth and they need to be replaced. Okay, so now that I have this brake caliper off, what I'm going to do is I have a bungee cord, and I'm going to leave a link in the video to where you can buy these, and you can see how the brake caliper has places. It has a place where you can put this bungee cord through. And it's going to wrap around here. And I'm going to wrap around the shock up here so that I can get it out of the way, because I'm going to need room. I'm going to need room in here, guys, so that I can get to this retention bracket without hurting the caliper. I don't want it to get damaged while I'm working, because this right here is the hydraulic lines, the hydraulic line where the brake fluid goes through. I don't want it to get broken while I'm taking this retention bracket off. Okay, so if you can look back here, I will show you on the wheel knuckle, there are two. Let me get this back a little bit farther. There are two bolts that need to come off for the retention bracket to come off. And it's right here, and then the one up above it, right there, and the one down there. Okay guys, these are a whopping 21 millimeter, these two bolts back here. Here comes that one. And this portable impact wrench from DeWalt. They did not send this to me free. I bought it with the hard-earned eBay money. Works really good. Just comes right on out, and you put those where you can get to them. And let me set that retainer bracket down there, out of the way, and then you are ready. Sometimes the rotors are stuck on, and you may need to take like a rubber hammer or mallet, or even put a piece of wood over this and hit it with the regular hammer all the way around and get it to come off. But this one is not like that. It's just going to come straight on off of there, just like that. And you can see on the back that this rotor's damaged. I can feel it, that it's not very smooth, and that's the front. So I'm going to put that rotor over out of the way, and what's left is your wheel knuckle here, and this is where your wheel bearings are too. So I may clean off some of the rust debris while I'm in here, and then I'm going to put the new rotor on and put it all back together. And one of the things I cannot stress enough is that you get the right parts. I have ordered these replacement rotors from Detroit Axle online. That is a very good company. You can see right on the box, it says Detroit Axle. So I'm just going to open these whammer jammers up want to see what they look like. Here's the brake pads. And here are the brand new rotors. See if these are the rear or the front rotors. There's the brake pads, new retainers. There's the rotors. All right, guys, getting ready to put these on. Okay, so you're probably wondering if you're getting 2 sets of rotors, which means a total of 4 rotors, how do you know which ones are for the front and which ones are the back, and does it matter? In this car and in this situation, yes, it matters. So one way you can usually tell is when you open up the box and it comes with the brakes. If it comes with brakes, you can tell on this car the brakes are bigger on the front than on the back brakes. But if you don't want to rely on that like I don't, then the best way is the part number. Here is the way you're definitely going to tell. In this rotor box, look up this part number on Google and you will see R-53068, and in this case this will be for the front, and it came with also the front brake pads. Now these over here, the rotors in this has the part number R-53069. If you look those up, those are for the rear. So that is the rear rotors. So that is the way you can tell. That will help you to put the right rotors in the right places. Okay, and if you guys want to, if you notice a lot of rust inside like your wheel knuckle or even your shocks, you can have a wire brush, and you can just go around and clean these up before you put the new rotor on. You don't have to, that's optional. Next step is to line up the rotor with the lugs, and it just pushes on just like that. The next piece is the retention bracket for the caliper, for the brake caliper, and it's going to go on from the back. From the back, this is going to slide over the rotor just like so, and I'm going to hand start these 21mm bolts. Now you don't want this to cross thread, and you want to do this the right way. So you just get it started, the one on the bottom, then you get the one on the top started. Okay, so you guys can see that. I've got the 21mm socket on the impact wrench, or on the impact gun, and it's on. We're going to do the same for the top. Okay, it's on. And then, okay, so the next step is to put the brakes on. And you see how it's this shape? It can only go one way. You put it down in the groove, and it should just slide right in there like that, and the same for the other side. See, and if you get a look at it from this view, it looks kind of just like a sandwich. Right here's the brakes, right in the middle is the rotor. All right, the next step, we're going to get the brake caliper off of the bungee cord. We're going to feed the bungee cord back through here. And this has dual brake pistons. And what we need to do here is these brake pistons need to go back flush with this right here so that it can fit on with the new brakes. There's many different ways to do that. There's even different kind of brakes, different kind of pistons. Some you twist and some you can do this old way that I'm going to show you. I'm going to take an old brake pad. I'm going to put it up against the brake piston. And this is a C-clamp. Well, because it's in the shape of a C, I guess. And I'm going to unscrew the C-clamp. I'm going to put it over the caliper. And I'm going to screw this onto the old brake. And I'm going to make it push these brake pistons flush. And this way you don't have to take off the bleeder valves or anything like that. And you just twist. And this one, it looks like it's doing one at a time. So after this, I'm going to have to put it over on the other side. Looks like the other side's starting to go now too. But you want to make sure that they go back flush. So that way the caliper will have room to screw into the retention bracket. Now, not all cars are going to have a dual piston system. In fact, a lot of them only have one. And here's how you know if it's right, is if it fits on here. And it fits on, it fits over just right. You can see right there. And it lines up with the holes. Now here's the 13mm bolts that you want to put back on. Then you put the top one in, and then I'm just putting these in finger tight before I go to the impact gun. Next step is we have the two 13mm bolts for the brake caliper. We're going to tighten those down. Those are on. Now the only thing left to do is put the tire back on. All right, now use a 19mm socket and put these back on. Go slowly so it's not cross-threaded. I like to do them diagonal. A lot of people do it differently though. This is the one that's kind of a different size. Okay, I'm taking the back tire off now. Setting it out of the way. And feeling the rotor here, and it definitely needs to be changed. It's pitted all the way through there. First, I'm going in for the brake caliper. Two 13s. I'm going to need a ratchet for that. Go ahead and okay, so you might want to use a ratchet because my impact gun would not reach the top bolt. So you can use 13mm ratchet to take the top bolt off. Now be careful because this is also connected. The emergency brake is also connected to this. Okay, taking this off the brake caliper, and I'm going to set it out of the way. But what you see here is something a lot different. We're not going to be able to use the C-clamp here to push that back. Repeat, do not use the C-clamp. They make a tool that pushes this like a key, and you turn it to the right and it resets the brake piston. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm getting these back brakes off with the flathead screwdriver. And I'm going to do that for the back brake too. Now the back brakes on this vehicle are disc brakes. They're not drum brakes. Still have a lot left to them, but as you can see, the rotor has been messing the brakes up. Now the next step is we're going to have to take the retention bracket that holds the caliper on. I'm going to have to take it off. And there's two bolts in the rear that takes that off. And I'm going to see what size they are. So what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to use a ratchet on these. There we go. It took a lot of grunting, but it is coming off of there. The simple life of the impact. Can't use that on the back. Now, before that comes all the way off, I'm going to use it to loosen the top. Yeah, I know. I'll leave it in there. Anyways, I'm going to take these two out by hand. There's one in the bottom here. And then there's going to be one in the top. There's the one in the bottom. And then here's the one at the top. And then this should release the retention bracket, guys. Big bolt. Here comes the bolt. And here is the retention bracket. Now the back rotors are the one that's usually stuck, and you might have to hit on it. And I'm right, this one is stuck. Okay guys, there's a lot of different ways to do this, and I know I'll probably get some criticism in the comment section, but I'm not going to be using this rotor again anyway. So I'm not going to be hitting in the rotor, but right between these lugs, see in between these lugs right here, you're going to want to tap it. About 5 pounds of pressure and gradually increase until it loosens all the way over. You'll see rust start falling out. You want to be very careful not to hit one of these studs, these lug studs, where the bolts go back on. And see, usually after you hit a few times like that, it will loosen it up and this will come right off. And you can see I didn't hit any of the studs, or I didn't hit the rotor. But as you can see, this rotor is warped. Not for sure how good you guys can see that, but it's pitted and warped. Okay, whenever you're putting the rotor to the rear back on, you just set it in there nice and even. Now once you get this all the way on, you're going to want to make sure this is the dust shield, that it's not going to be rubbing anywhere. You want to do that on the front one too. I forgot to mention that. That way if you're getting a rubbing noise, you want to make sure it's not the dust shield. Now the next step we're going to have to do is reset this brake piston. Front ones we could have reset by the C-clamp. The rear ones, we're going to need a special tool, and I'm going to show you exactly what that is. What you need for the back brake piston is this brake piston tool. I got a 6-in-1, and I got this at O'Reilly's. I will leave a link to it in the video description box. It looks like this, and it's just a little square, 3D square, and it lines up with a pattern of your brakes, and then you can turn the brake piston to close it back. I'll show you. Then we're going to try this pattern. Not that pattern either. Not that pattern. We'll try these two. Now, a lot of people actually use like needle nose pliers and things, but this is the official tool that you want to use. Nope. This pattern. Looks like this pattern right here, the one at the far end. This pattern right here, it's on the far end of the cube, and on the left top and the right bottom. Is you're going to put your ratchet down in there, and see, if you look, it's going to reset that brake piston back. And it came off, put it back on. And you just got to keep at it until it's flush. You do not use the C-clamp on this. Okay, that should be far enough. I'm gonna set that on there. Now what I'm gonna do, we're gonna put the retention bracket back on here. That goes toward the back, and it just slides right on over the rotor. You take the 18mm bolts, and you'll want to start to hand tighten them first. So I'm getting that started. You want to be careful not to cross thread it. And I'm going to get the top one started in there. Okay, now I'm going to take a ratchet and I'm going to tighten these two 18 millimeters down. Okay, that is tight. And then we're going to want the set of brakes. These brakes will only go one way. I need the light. Okay, so you take the bungee cord out. I've just put these brakes in. They'll only fit in one way. Take the caliper. Tighten the two 18 millimeter bolts. All right, now use a 19 millimeter socket and put these back on. Go slowly so it's not cross-threaded. Once you put the brake caliper back on, you put the tire back on, and then you are done with one full side. And you need to repeat all of the steps on the other side, and you will be done with the entire vehicle. I hope that this video has helped you. Please like and subscribe and comment in the comment section below. Till next video, have a good day.